Hello. We're back with episode 18 on this Saturday night. And we just thought this episode is going to be a celebration, but also looking back on an event. Tomorrow is October 4th, and in both of our lives, it's a significant day. For mine, it's my dad's birthday tomorrow. He would have been 82.
And it also happens to be the anniversary when my brother Tom passed away, and he passed away October 4th, 2009.
So every year, obviously, at this time, we always think back of two people that were great in our lives that passed away, both in their 50s.
Yeah, that's right.
My dad was 59, and your brother was
He was 51.
51.
Yeah.
So crazy, both from cancer. But we just thought we would talk a little bit more about them and just share stories. So do you want to start?
Yeah, well, you put me on the spot. Yeah. Yeah, so my brother Tom was 4 years older than me, which is kind of an odd age gap. I mean, it's good when you're little, and it's perfectly fine later in life, but
It's a big gap in the middle.
it's an awkward gap when you're teenagers. Let's just put it that way. But the other kind of curious thing about Tom and myself is that our birthdays are 3 days apart. So it's not just that there's a 4 year difference, but every year we celebrated our birthdays right around the same time. But when I was little, we were really close. I followed him around, and for whatever reason, it didn't seem to bother him. And all the way through the time he was in middle school, junior high, we were close. He had this peculiar obsession with trying to make sure that I believed in Santa Claus for as long as
That's so
humanly
cute.
possible. Right. Oh, it was like he went to elaborate extremes when I was a little kid, telling me these stories about, to try to lend credibility to the whole idea. For a period of time, our bedroom was towards the front of the house. And so out our bedroom windows was the roof of the front porch. And he would talk about how, you'd be able to see the sleigh tracks the next morning in the snow. And our neighbors had a light up statue of Santa Claus that they would put up every year on their porch roof, which was right near us. And he told us that that's how Santa Claus found our town and stuff like that. I mean, which is this
that's really
whole
cute.
this is a whole elaborate thing.
You should also mention that you're the youngest of 11, so there's a lot of siblings.
There's a lot of siblings, and Tom and I were among the last four of that group. And anyway, but the thing is, and then stuff like he was also obsessed with the Lord of the Rings books. So by the time I was probably in fourth or fifth grade, I knew the stories inside and out. I don't even
Without
know
even reading
Yeah, I
them.
don't know when I started reading them, but before I started reading them, I knew every little detail of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. But the thing is that but when he hit high school, things just changed, and so our relationship became kind of strained for a period of time. So it's just a weird thing. It's not his fault. He's a great person, but it just is the reality.
It definitely is, because it's like you're becoming towards an adult and you're still a child,
Right.
so it's kind of like it's an awkward time.
Right. And we probably went through a period of several years where we really didn't speak, and we were still sharing a bedroom. And then the thing the thing about Tom is that he was just kind of a restless person and couldn't wait to just, leave home, leave our town and all that. And one of the only sort of conversations we had as he was approaching 18 and I was obviously approaching 14, was he kept talking about how he was going to leave. He was going to leave. And, when you're young, you don't really, you don't believe things. You think somebody's just blowing off steam or they're saying it. And then one day he was gone. He just took off, didn't tell anybody, left. And it was very bizarre because I think I was the only person he told that he was going to leave, and I didn't believe him.
Right.
And he traveled for a while and all that. And for the first few days, my parents were freaked out because they didn't know what was going on. Eventually, we made contact with him, and then after that, he kept in touch with us. But the good part about that story is that when he came back, he kind of like appreciated everything a lot more, and we started getting along again. But by that point, I was in high school then, and
Right.
and so yeah, then we became good friends and close. And just one thing that I would add to that is that that's really the reason why I always wanted to play guitar, is because he was a guitar player, a really great guitar player.
Very good. So talented.
And after he passed away, it was hard on everybody, but it was like I didn't have anything to kind of like, that was the only thing to do to kind of like keep a sort of a relationship in a strange sort of way, was to pick up the guitar. So
and he was part of a band for a while,
Oh,
and we got to see him perform many times, which was great, and just a wonderful performer and singer.
he had a band called the Crickle, which was kind of a British invasion kind of thing. In the 80s, when I was in college, they used to come down and play in Champaign all the time. And I'd be on the guest list. So my sister Margaret was in vet school, and
VIP.
she was on the guest list. So we thought we were pretty cool.
And so, yeah, my dad would have been 82 tomorrow, which kind of seems crazy since he died when he was 59. So you kind of like almost the same thing as your brother. You just remember that person at that age, kind of thing. So I have pictures that I'll show at the end. We both have pictures. But yeah, just a great person. He was super talented in many aspects. So he was an artist. I would say an artist first kind of thing, and he did a lot of creative things. He illustrated children's books for a while. He did the cartoon section in the Chicago Tribune. It was called Spots, and he did like the games that the kids could play. Could be a maze, could be a puzzle or something like that. And back then it was like so old school. He actually like drew it and like drove it downtown to the Tribune, they like
he had the big drafting table,
copied it. There's no computers or anything like that. So I just remember the lengths that he had to go through to try to get different things
and meet the deadline.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember him zipping downtown, dropping off this packet, and then it would be in the paper on Sundays, which was kind of funny.
Then he'd go to the Billy Goat Tavern,
yes,
where Mike Royko was famous for hanging out.
So he did that for a while, and then when I was in junior high, he decided to go back to school to culinary school to become a chef, which of course we loved. He was always cooking anyway. My mom is a great cook, but seeing somebody go through that and to actually taking the classes, doing the homework, and trying to figure out like the ratios of how to do it. I think the biggest thing that he taught me is timing of everything, and to figure out if you're making 3 or 4 things, what do you have to start first so that it all ends up together, which is a talent. I mean, it's like a lot of times, but there was a lot of when he was trying to teach us how to cook, there was a lot of times where he loved to show instead of like hands-on. So it'd be like he'd be chopping something or putting something together, and I'm like, can I try that? And he's like, let me just show you one more thing. And it's like, can I try that now? But our friends loved it when we had sleepovers, because he made super elaborate brunches for our friends when he made homemade Danishes and apple fritters and omelets and everything. So it was like super fun to have. Our friends were always like so excited. And I also, I almost forgot, he was a photographer.
Oh yeah.
So
really good.
he took probably, I don't know, 10,000 pictures of us growing up. And we had a darkroom.
And I've seen probably all 10,000.
Yeah. A lot are still actually in my mom's basement, just on contact paper. But he had a darkroom in our basement for a while, so I learned how to develop film, which was also fun to do.
By the way, let me just interrupt you. Tom also was super into photography and also set up a darkroom.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you have the light on where you like couldn't go in because
No, but he did have the red light or whatever that you use in a darkroom.
Yeah. We always knew, like, don't open the door because you're developing, and obviously the light will ruin it. So I hopefully have gotten some skills from him. Obviously, cooking is a favorite one. I do like photography too. But I think that all the innovations that have happened since he passed away would be, oh my gosh, he would have loved it. I mean, he would have loved Facebook, of course. He probably would have loved our Instagram. He would have loved my blog, digital photography. So then you didn't have to
right.
can you imagine like taking all those pictures with the actual film? So crazy. So
And digital design and artwork.
yeah,
too.
yeah, totally. Yeah, because he was still, like David said, had the whole drafting table and all the pens and markers and everything like that.
All the letter sets
Oh,
for
yeah.
doing graphic design, he had all that giant cabinet with the drawers that had all that.
That had all the letters in there, and he painted signs for our local grocery store. It's not there anymore, but you know how you have like the big thing like 99 cents tomatoes
Like
or
on
whatever.
the paper signs,
the paper with
or on
the
the windows,
paint.
right? Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
So super talented. But obviously for both of us, a life cut too short for both. Just insane that not fair.
Yeah, and it's very sad. And of course, that they both died of cancer, which is kind of a prolonged thing sometimes. I could, my brother went through a very rough time at the end because he had a daughter, and he was trying very hard not to.
To be strong.
Right.
And you always want to give hope, you don't want to be like, you always want to, before it's too late, you just want to like think
Right.
that like everything's going to be fine kind of thing.
So he fought it probably longer than he should have, which is
Actually, both of them did,
Yeah.
because it was probably like a year and a half for my
Right.
dad, and probably about the same for
Yeah,
Tom.
it was. He was diagnosed just before his 50th birthday, and he lived about 6 months after
Yeah.
or 5 months after his 51st birthday. So yeah, it was just 17 months, something
Yeah.
like that.
So two awesome people, and we just wanted to share a little snippets of their life and just kind of commemorate what October 4th means to us. And we're going to share pictures and so thanks for listening to our story.
And just one little thing, since my brother was a restless soul and always wanted to get the heck out of here, the Steve Earle song "Someday" always reminds me of Tom, because it's about that exact thing, being stuck in a town and wanting to leave. So I recorded a little snippet of it, and this is my interpretation, and it's a step too high, but Steve would forgive us.
Yes. So we'll see you next time, and take care. Bye.